Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Happy San Diego Comic-Con Day to you and yours. I am your host, Radicat. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? BIG, this is what we're feeling today. So, here we go.
Is Brooklyn in the house? Without a doubt.
That's right. Represent BK to the fullest. You can... There you go. Waiting for that. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. And of course, every Thursday night you can find us recording on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles and youtube.com/TheKliqNation.
Make sure to click like and subscribe and give us all the good reviews.
Oh yeah, and apparently there are other podcasts, aggregate places out there that we probably show up on. Hey, if we're there, give us some good reviews. That can't do anything but help.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, we are going to get into books because we don't have any MCU properties, or at least not in live action form, to deal with this week.
Right.
So we are going to get into books with A.X.E. Judgment Day #1.
1 second. 1 second. Sorry, I had a little accident behind the scenes here, folks, with a pencil cup. All right. A.X.E. Judgment Day #1 is written by Kieron Gillen with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So if you have not been keeping up with either the X-Men, like the main X-Men books, and when I say the main X-Men books, it would probably be like X-Men and maybe Immortal, and probably recently the Hellfire Gala special and the Eternals series, you're kind of missing out on some of the setup, right? The Avengers are here just as like an extra set of combatants, really. Yeah. You know, they're kind of stuck in the middle. And, you know, you're not having, you know, if you're not familiar with, or if you're not reading the main Avengers book, you're not going to need any of that information, really. Right. You know, hardly any of that information to process what's going on in A.X.E. Judgment Day. But if you're not familiar with what's going on in the most recent Eternal series or what's going on in the current X-Men series, you'll get up to speed pretty quickly in this issue. And I think that's a strong point. That is definitely a strong point for this series in general, is that they set the stage and they set the stakes very quickly. And they establish you don't need to have read the Zero issue that came out, I think it was last week.
Yes.
Right. It's not necessary, but it's helpful. But if you just read this issue, they still basically reset the stage for everything. They give you all the players on that first, you know, on that first page that has like a yearbook photo and their name underneath. And basically, you're introduced to all the players in the issue, and that's welcome for anyone who's jumping into this without that context that I was talking about earlier. Right. And you know, we're only going to go into mild spoilers because if you're not familiar with that, you have to understand that the Eternals have come up with, or at least certain Eternals have come up with a reason to make enemies of the X-Men, and that. It revolves around a revelation from the recent issues of the X-Men book. So everything sort of follows from there.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about this, so like you said, the Avengers are kind of just there, which I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're feeling like you can't really have an event book of this type without the Avengers being involved, even though there has been past history of the Avengers either causing the event or basically doing something that puts their involvement in it. I guess in this way there's a kind of a twofold reason, and actually kind of funny. It goes back to the Hellfire Gala book from last week, because I think I saw somebody saying on Twitter, is like, yeah, this is the reason why people think the Avengers are the cops,
right?
And they're kind of acting like that in this issue, and in the Hellfire Gala, as I've finally read more thoroughly. But that being said, it's like, okay, so yeah, they're kind of just here trying to. They're basically here trying to cop, what's going on between these other two, these other two factions,
right?
They're
basically rapping. You're headed for self-destruction.
Basically.
They're all like, stop the violence.
Right.
That's what the Avengers are in this issue. In this particular setting.
Right. So, any other time they would have been like I said, either the direct cause of something happened, or
right, like the instigator or the
right.
victim.
Right, and in this case, they kind of started something, because they got it in their heads to believe that, okay, well, y'all are up to something, so we need to find out what it is. So instead of just going up to their former teammate, they decided to use some methods that they've kind of done before. Just like, no, we're just gonna sweep in here, and interrogate you, homicide, life on the street style, and and try to figure out what's going on so we can stop it.
Right. I was about to say, you know what? A good friend recommended that I watch the 2000s reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
And it's my first time ever going through it, and there are scenes of waterboarding, and obviously it's a commentary on the Iraq War and on the Afghanistan War, and it made me laugh when I was looking at this. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're still dealing with war crimes and enhanced interrogation tactics. I got a kick out of that, seeing that parallel here a little bit.
Yeah, wait, how far in are you, just on the side note? Or have you started?
I'm pretty deep in now. I've been watching for a little while now.
Like, you finished season 1?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know you could, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'll be curious to see what you think after you finish the series. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so back to Judgment.
All I have to say about it is that I was very disappointed that the one Asian actress turns out. I'm like, come on.
Believe me, I haven't seen that actress and stuff before. I was like, oh man, are you fucking shitting me? Why?
I'm like, seriously? I mean, obviously, like, I've seen the character evolve. Sorry for the tangent, folks. I'm ranting now.
This is great.
I've seen the character evolve into like a different, go in a different and complex direction.
Right.
I get that, but seriously, that's all I gotta say.
Just keep watching. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But but I hated that too. Because it was the last person I suspected that was going to be a silent spoiler alert, so folks, for a decades-old show almost. But yeah,
not decades old, but close.
Well, close enough. But yeah, she was the last one.
It is. I apologize. It is. It is, because a decade. I think it started in what, 2008?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So a decade is more than a decade has passed since that started. So yeah.
So, but at any rate though, so it was like, I was like, anyway, like I said, we're on that show is good until it's not. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. But anyway, getting back to A.X.E. Judgment Day #1, I think that. Did you have anything to add to like the overall setup? Because I felt like the setup was strong. I got a chance. I really dug that they had Cap come and be like, "Hey, we shouldn't be doing this," because he's Cap,
right?
That the events that are transpiring in X-Men run right into. It was almost like a setup for this.
Oh yeah, it was like, which I guess, especially coming out of Immortal, because Kieran Gillen, the writer of this, is also I guess the one that's writing this whole thing and also writing Eternals. So pretty much roll that down the lane. And now I like how you mentioned Cap, because it was like good Cap, bad cop. The way they were playing it, I was like, all right, I've seen this playbook before. It was like, what are we doing here? But outside of that, yeah, I don't know. Look, this is pretty much putting all the pieces on the board as if they weren't already. I don't know where this is going, because anytime there's an event like this, especially going back to, say, I guess this is kind of up there or down there with X-Men versus Inhumans in a kind of a way.
Right, but just with more players on the board.
Right. But I feel like there's something there that is similar to this, and even though I don't think we're going to get something anywhere near as what came out of that, because that's when the Inhumans pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, that's when the Inhumans pretty much cropped up more because of what happened in that thing. But like, I don't know where they're trying to go with this, or whether they're going to try to get anything out of this. But the whole X-Men Resurrection thing is kind of out in the world now, and that's kind of an impetus of this, which is kind of a spoiler, but kind of not, because that's been in the last couple of weeks of X-Men books. So,
my goodness, this is going until November?
Yes, it is. Which was my point in saying all of that, because it's like, this is going to be a long-running event to not do anything. Hopefully it's going to come up into something far-reaching, but I kind of doubt it, is what I'm saying. But we're only just starting, so there's no telling.
Yeah, there's a checklist at the back of this book, folks, that lays, and we've seen this checklist, I think, in the Zero issue as well.
Yes.
And I just didn't look that carefully at it, but this is a not necessarily a line-wide event, but it definitely crosses into the X corner.
Fantastic
of the universe. It does, right. It does touch upon some of the other books, but definitely goes into the Avengers corner. I mean, not that there's many Avengers books except for Avengers Forever, and that's off on its own because of the multiverse spanning story.
Yeah, if you're counting Savage, which I doubt it, because they're off in their own thing. Right.
So it's really mostly the X books, because there is no ongoing Eternals book right now. And, like, it touches on, there's an issue of Amazing Spidey it touches on, and FF, like you said. 2 issues, actually, of FF.
Wait, did Eternals end? Was that that last issue was the last book?
I don't know if it ended, but it definitely, I think, went on hiatus for this. Because I think Kieran Gillen was writing this, and Eternals.
Correct.
So.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, either way, we're in for a long ride, folks. We will be keeping touches. We have no choice, because it's going to touch some books that we are reading one way, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, books that we would normally read, month in and month out anyway.
Which is why I know I've said this before in the past, but it's been a long time, so I kind of hate stuff like this. If it wasn't already touching stuff that I was already reading, that's a problem for me, because it was like, I hate it when I was like, here's an event that I didn't care about that's touching something that I do care about, and it kind of throws things off. But it just so happens
because we've been reading X-Men, we almost can't avoid this.
And Avengers, yeah, and exactly.
But specifically more like the main X-Men book.
Right.
So anyway, moving on. Moving on.
Oh shoot! I forgot to read it.
I'm looking for President Bartlett.
What's next?
You want to just cover Avengers?
You know what? I didn't read Avengers, so.
Oh, okay, all right. So
like I said, there's a lot of stuff I totally forgot about. I totally forgot they had to come out until I saw it when I pulled the thing.
I'm looking for other stuff that we have in common. All right, so how about Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #1?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So yeah, and you can tell that this book was not exactly overwhelmingly positive to either myself or Roddy Cat, but it was a good shot at it.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #1 is written by Jean Loen Yang with art by Marcus To, colors by Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is definitely, I don't want to say obviously, but definitely a follow-up to the previous volume of Shang-Chi. And now we have had the official MCU-ification of the Shang-Chi character at the end of the previous limited series, and we are neck deep in it now with the reappearance of Razor Fist. Shang-Chi having some fun, I think, in the streets of San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right. Yes.
And a gigantic connection to Ta Lo.
Yep. Now, not to poo-poo this too terribly much, because it was not a terrible issue. Like, it did actually have some, you know, the fight with Razor Fist was pretty good. But at the same time, I couldn't help but think, I was like, wow, this is kind of how the movie went. Like, one of the first folks he went up he went up against in the movie was Razor Fist, and ended up with the 10 rings, just like in the thing. Kind of short shrift, but whatever. So, like I said, to this book's credit, the action in it was actually pretty good. Like, it started off with a pretty good fight, and it was like, okay, this is almost some classic Shang-Chi fighting, you know, that we get to see in the beginning of this, before the other fight happened, I should say. That does involve the 10 rings, and I guess the impetus of why the change in the title,
Right?
Because apparently there's you know, Shang-Chi's going through something with the 10 rings. That's we'll leave it at that, so that people can discover that for themselves. So outside of
also
that,
turns right, and I would add that it also turns out, and Roddy Cat may have been just about to say this. It turns out that these artifacts, these 10 rings, are known in the Marvel Universe, and they are sought after by nefarious groups, aka Hydra, the Hand, some other ones that were just made up.
Yeah,
but
like,
you know, when you see Hydra and the Hand pursuing the same goal, that's usually not a good thing.
right. Yeah, like this is just a bunch of groups. Yeah, and I think that other group that was from the last run of Shang-Chi. So, like you said, made up. Because I don't recall them being around in any significant form. So yeah, so that's pretty much set up where this volume of Shang-Chi is going to go, and he's at this point by himself. We don't know if the rest of the five families that he was with in the last volume is going to come back for this, but we know that. I assume they're kind of moving and out of this stuff. Like, we know that his old ex-girlfriend is going to come into play next issue or something.
Right.
But that's pretty much all we know now. I don't know. Like I said, for now, we're probably, I can't speak for Agent 70, but I'm probably going to keep a tab on this for at least another issue or two to see if anything significant happens. But outside of that, like to see, I don't know. I hate the MCU-fication of comics now, and this character specifically, which we've gone over in the past, so we don't necessarily have to go over it again.
Right. The problem is we understand why.
Yes.
That's the worst part. The worst part is that we understand why. It's just, you know, we're too old.
But we don't. We understand why, but we don't have to like it.
Right, exactly. You know, like we understand. I mean,
Boy, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, basically. So, which I guess in contrast to, but I guess that's probably something we'll talk about later. In contrast to what DC may or may not be doing with certain properties. But again, we'll talk about that later.
All right. So we actually only have one more book in common.
Damn it! I didn't read mine.
No, two more books in common. Actually, I apologize.
No, that's fine. We could do one more and then go wrap it.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything to She-Hulk number 5?
So I kind of wanted to address that just for a second.
You want to just do it real quick?
Yeah, why not? Because
all right. So She-Hulk number 5.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, She-Hulk number 5. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll just run through it and then I'll let you take over.
Yeah.
I'll run through the credits. She-Hulk number 5 is written by Rainbow Rowell, with art by Luca Maresca, color art by Rico Renzi, and letters by our favorite lettering python, of course, VC's Joe Caramagna. Take it away, Roddy Cat.
So the question that Agent 70 just posed, I had that when I finished reading this. And don't get me wrong, it's not because I'm not enjoying the book, because I have been, but I'm sitting here like, and I hate the fact that I've gotten to this point in a lot of stuff. So it was like, well, where is this going? Because I've said before, it's about the journey. You know, enjoy the ride. We'll get there when we get there. It's just that we've been reading a lot of stuff that's either been taking a long time to get to where it's going, or doesn't seem like it's going anywhere for the journey to be enjoyable. I don't feel like this is the case in any way, but I am kind of wondering, like, well, where is this going? Because we know, well, I believe we know that this is not an ongoing series. This is a limited series, which I thought this was supposed to be the last issue, but it's not. So by that saying, like, this issue kind of goes into introducing something else that was kind of away from where this started. So it started with Jen and Jack of Hearts meeting back up and her trying to help him out, which still hasn't really been any headway on that. But also, this issue is possibly introducing this other couple that, I don't know, maybe they're supposed to be the contrast to She-Hulk, to Jen and Jack of Hearts. I don't know. But they've introduced this couple as if they were linked to this other thing that we just discussed with Jack of Hearts, which it doesn't seem like to be at this point. But we don't know. And obviously, She-Hulk's getting a book now, which I'm fine with, like, because of the fact of the MCU show that is coming out next month. So any chance to see She-Hulk in a book, I'm fine with. But I'm just, like I said, just kind of curious as to what's going to come out of this book, outside of a hopefully fun, She-Hulk story. But right now, it's like, well, what is this? What is this coming up with, and why is this? What is this about? So I don't know if you had that same thought.
No, I everything I was thinking parallels what you were.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. That's why I brought it up. That's exactly why I posed that I made that statement and posed that question right up front. I was like, what was the point of this story? What was the point of this issue?
Right.
Like, where are we going?
Right, because it seemed like we were going one way, and then it's like, well, here's the thing that got introduced that seemed like it's either taking it another way, or it's maybe going to wrap back around into what's going on. But at the point, we don't know, and it doesn't seem like it. So it just feels like something that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Right. And maybe the next issue will put things into proper perspective, but it was pretty difficult from reading this issue to figure out what that might be, and to even have the patience to wait for that.
Kinda. And like I said, and I kind of like 80-70R we've read of a certain vintage. We've read a lot of shit. Like I said, of various speeds of enjoyment.
Right.
So
listen, just in the time that we've been doing this show, just in that time, we've read a lot. But we've read a lot even before that. So, it's I don't know if we're jaded. I don't know if we're just kind of like, come on, show us something, to keep us interested. I don't know if we've got to that point.
I think we are there a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, we do need to see a little bit of movement in the story to keep us engaged.
Right.
And we didn't get much of that here. And that's disappointing because I really enjoyed this book for the most part. But it seems like there's a couple of issues like this in this run so far. We're only 5 issues in.
Right. Like for the most part, yeah, the book has been fun. Like there's been some fun moments in this book we've enjoyed, and it was like, okay, well, they're addressing something that I'm surprised it had anything to do with anything that we end up seeing someplace else. But
all right. So the last thing we have in common is Maestro World War M #5. And we can probably cover this very quickly because it is a pretty quick read. It's written by Peter David with guest art by Sebastian Cabrol, colors by Jesus Abertov, and letters by VC's Ariana Mayer. So I always tease Roddy Cat about the fact that he still has yet to read Hulk Future Imperfect, the seminal 2-issue limited series by Peter David and the late, great, incredible George Perez, right? Mm-hmm. And what's comforting to me here, reading this last issue, in what has become a trilogy of Maestro books that Peter David has come out with over the last over the last couple of years, let's say, is that while there's plenty of setup, you're not really spoiling anything. There's minor spoilers here and there, but it's really more setup. These 3 limited series have served as setup so that at the end of this issue, there actually is to be continued in the pages of Hulk Future Imperfect. So I really appreciated that, and I'll allow Roddy Cat to speak to what happens in the issue, but I wanted to just start off by saying that I really appreciate that Peter David, really treated these 3 miniseries as setup for Hulk Future Imperfect and didn't necessarily spoil everything and anything in Hulk Future Imperfect itself. So allow Roddy Cat a chance to actually enjoy those 2 issues. Go ahead.
So yes, this is the last issue of this book, and this is the last time Agent 70 can pick at me about not reading Future Imperfect because of this. This is the last of the issue and the last of this trilogy. So yay for that. And actually, to this book's credit and to this trilogy's credit, I'm actually kind of glad I didn't read Future Imperfect before this, because knowing what I know now from the 3 trilogies going into this, now granted, if this wasn't a thing, whether I would have read it before, unless it would have come up on a something we would have in the episode we would have done if we had gone over that, which I don't even think we had Future Imperfect on our list, did we?
I don't think so, only because it was a 2-issue thing. Right. I think we were really focused on like major events.
Right.
We did Kree Skrull War. We did, we did like big things that neither of us were either all that familiar with or had read a long time ago.
Right.
So, but go on.
I still kind of wish we did Days of Future Past though. That was only a couple of issues. That would have been good. But anyway, regardless, coming back to this, like I said, I'm kind of glad I didn't read it because reading this has kind of, in a way, given me a curiosity to actually read it, Future Imperfect. But at the same time, I also see it for what it was, like, or what I believe it is, because all of these Peter David things that have been like basically old stories, new old stories, to basically, as they just said, would say retcon, or just kind of adding to the history of a certain thing, like it kind of goes back to what we just said. It was like, well, where is it going? What is it supposed to do? Well, what is it supposed to do is already out there. It's been out there for like a good 20 years or so, 20, 30 years. I don't know how old Future. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So
probably close to 30 years. Maybe not quite, but definitely between 20 and like 25 and 30.
Right. So, and I have to, and I'm saying all that because it's like, well, it's kind of meaningless because of that, but at the same time, like, this is Marvel's 80th anniversary this year, and revisiting old stories has kind of been a thing that they've been doing this year, which in some cases, like, you know what, I'm glad this is a good thing to revisit for one reason or another. So I'm happy for this. Like, but Future Imperfect as a story that I have not read before. At least I started. Let me rephrase that. That one the splash page was pretty good, but that's probably as far as I got. Was interesting enough to make me want to come back to, but I think this particular story and everything leading up to this has led me more so to want to read it than just going off of, the fact that it was a 2-issue book that was in its own way seminal for what it was.
Right, screw my recommendation.
No, I'm not saying that. No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I kid. But no, in all seriousness, I'm glad that the way this ended really does give Roddy Cat some impetus towards reading Hulk Future Imperfect. All right, so I think we can spin up rapid fire here.
I believe so.
I ain't got time to bleed.
You want me to lead off?
Yeah, because I think
I've got fewer books than you now.
Less books, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Avengers number 58 is written by Jason Aaron with art by Javier Garron, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So I really appreciate this issue because it, it's obviously the Avengers on their time-spanning journey to gather the multiversal Avengers. A couple of Avengers find themselves in Edo era Japan. And of course, if you think of that era, you think of samurai. As a big fan of Lone Wolf and Cub, this is something I've talked about over and over again on this show. This is an era of Japanese history that I am very familiar with, just based on that and having read some other background reading. And this was just a really entertaining issue. It involves a lot of the present-day Avengers just on their time-spanning journey as Mephisto kind of leads them through the muck of time travel, during, as the multiversal Avengers are essentially being assembled or at least protected. That's the premise that they're using right now. So I really enjoyed this issue. It was actually really close to being, it may still actually be a candidate for Click of the Week for me because I just enjoyed reading it. Next up is Iron Man number 21. It's written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Angel Angel Unzueta, colors by Frank Darmada, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So Christopher Cantwell has taken Tony Stark out of rehab, like Amy Winehouse, rest in peace, Amy Winehouse, and put Tony back amongst the people in a certain sense. But something happens in this issue that leads to, I guess the best way to phrase it is some more MCU-ification of Iron Man and his story. And the biggest hint I can put in here is that James Rhodey Rhodes is involved. Right? It's not a direct corollary, but there is a definite parallel to the MCU here in this story. Next up is Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 40. I'm surprised Roddy Cat didn't read this.
Yeah, so am I, but there's a good, that and Avengers I didn't get to, sadly.
Right. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Alberto Foche, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, some more multiversal hijinks with Miles and Shift rescuing the person who was powering the that force field, that gigantic force shield that was separating Salim's Brooklyn from the rest of the world and the rest of New York City. And there are, and hijinks ensue basically, as Miles, Shift, and the Brooklyn rebels are fighting against Salim's forces. That's essentially the gist of this issue. There's plenty of action, there's plenty of movement, and there is a setup to what might be, actually it does say it's the conclusion of this Empire of the Spider story arc. And that is it for me because we covered the rest of my books.
Gotcha. All right. So for myself, we're going to start off with Batman, Superman, World's Finest number 5. Oh, well, I didn't read that anyway. That's fine. So, and this is, I guess you could say this is the end of this arc, because at the end of this, the Devil Neza has been taken care of in a very, I would say, kind of sneaky way, but also it's like, okay, props to Wade for writing himself in and out of this, but hey, that's what good writers do. But also it was one that kind of came up in this issue, now that I think about it. But it leads off into the next arc. Well, actually, excuse me, it leads off into two things. It leads off into I think it must be another book because at the end of this issue, which was written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Aditya Bidlikar, ends with something with a note saying to be continued in Batman versus Robin, because in the course of this arc, Robin, I believe it was not Tim Drake, I believe it was I believe it was Dick Grayson, Robin, because I think this is set in a past. They don't really give a time frame from this, but there was a Robin involved, and I believe it was Dick, judging by the costume. But he was lost in time, and like I said, he's still lost in time at the end of this issue. Spoiler alert, because of something that happened a couple of issues or last issue with him and Supergirl. So that is leading to, I believe, a book called Batman versus Robin. And at the end of this issue, we see where Robin is, even if Batman and Superman don't know. But it is also going into the next issue, which is starting off a new arc that I believe we had a story about a couple of weeks ago, which I don't need to get into until we get into that again. So I was a pretty interesting end to this arc, and I'm not sure if I will pick up that Batman versus Robin, but I am kind of curious about it whenever it happens to pop up. So we'll see. Next book, Black Adam #2, and I know there's been some people that has been wanting me to talk, or at least there's one person in particular wanting me to talk about this, and here we are. Written by Christopher Priest, art by Rafa Sandoval, colors by Matt Herms, and letters by Willie Schubert. Excuse me. So, folks, in the last issue, the first issue of this 12-issue miniseries, if I didn't say that, which I don't think I did, this is we meet Malik White, who is a med student posing as who we meet posing as an actual doctor when Adam comes into a hospital for reasons which I won't get into, but come to find out that this Malik is a descendant of Teth Adam, who's been around for like 5,000 years, so he's hired some folks. But we also find out that Black Adam is dying, and this issue 2, is when we find out, what we find out the cause of, but also we find out, which has been said before, that he's got some beef with Darkseid, apparently, that may be related to that, and it was actually before that, now that I think about it. If I think about some things that happened in the first issue. But there is that. The crux of this issue is Adam trying to force Malik into taking over the mantle of Black Adam, or as has been seen online, the new name of Malik's Adam character, let's put it this way, which is also a couple of funny gems that happened in this issue. Real quick, was like there was a black versus white thing that comes out that comes up that Malik talks about, which this character is kind of a trip. I thought he was a little bit too much in the first issue, but I'm actually kind of liking this character, and in Priest faction, he actually kind of reminded me of Everett Ross in early on in the Black Panther book, who kind of had a similar tone to him, even though he was white and this character's black. But regardless, Malik kind of was like, well, why does black equals bad and white equals good, and what makes that a thing? And it actually reminds me of Third Base's Gas Face, where that comes up. If you know the song, you know the quote I'm talking about. But yeah, so like I said, the crux of this issue is as Adam trying to give Malik his powers because of some need for redemption, and we see something happen with Adam that apparently is going to we'll see the results of next issue. That's pretty much all I want to say, so as not give too much away. But again, this is another book that is out because of the fact that Black Adam is has a movie coming out. In this particular case, and this has been in the news, so this is not less of a spoiler than you would think. But if it might be news to you, they're killing Black Adam, which this issue kind of goes away into doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of Black Adam. Put it that way. It's been interesting so far, and I'm going to keep up with this book for as long as it continues to be interesting. Next up, Duo number 3. I kind of want Agent 72 to check this book out, and not because of the fact that not just because of the act of is a mostly Asian creative team and main characters. I feel like this is something that they're going to make into something live action at some point. Like, I feel like, especially with the way one of the main characters it just looks pretty familiar looking character. Let's just say that. But
Right.
Duo number 3, written by Greg Pak, pencils by Khoi Pham, inks by Scott Hanna, and colors by Chris Sotomayor. So, so the two main characters, David and Kelly, who are sharing a body, are trying to figure that out, because apparently when it's almost like a firestorm situation, except with the exception of it's one body and the bodies are not necessarily changing. If you know about firestorm, you kind of get what I'm saying with that. One conscious is driving most of the time at all times, and the other one's in the back seat. The difference here is that the conscience in the back seat is disappearing, I guess due to lack of action, seems like. So this issue is trying to for them trying to figure out how to get how to, one, deal with that, and two, how to get the one consciousness out into their own body. And they end up going to somebody that one of them doesn't trust, but they ended up meeting a faction that's been after them for the last couple of issues, which didn't think it was going to happen that fast, which leads to a disagreement between them and another faction coming in at the end. So I will leave folks to check that all out, and that everything may or may not. There's something about that. Something may or may not be what it seems to be, but we don't get that. Even though everything seems like it's played out like, yeah, this is pretty much cut and dry, but there's something still there that's like, not sure if that's what that's supposed to be. But regardless, interesting still nonetheless.
Did we get a copy of this DC book?
So when I looked at the books, I don't think we did actually. And I'm. Or unless because it might have been one of those situations where it might have came out later. I'm not entirely sure, so I did. Okay. I forgot to ask.
So it's something I'll have to backtrack on. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say we can contact our sources. Yeah.
We got the first couple of issues. This is the only one. Like I said, and I know there were some issues with DC books last week. So I don't know if this is caught up in that or whatever the case be. But there was a couple of books that from DC that didn't show up in our regular channel.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Next book, Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 4 of 5. Story by Cullen Bunn, art by Freddie E. Williams II, colors by Andrew Dalhouse, letters by Johanna Natalie and Nathan Wittick. So, at the beginning of this book, Scorpina and crew have the upper hand with the Rangers and Godzilla, but they start turning the tides back around through some teamwork. But of course, Rita, in her inimitable style, was like, "Bring out more monsters!" And of course, if you're gonna bring out any of the famous monsters outside of Godzilla that you can't control, the one you go for is none other than Monster Zero, aka King Ghidorah. Take me to your leader, who comes in and wreaks havoc on for both sides, for everybody involved, and control gets lost quite easily and quite handily, and but it also let's just say loosens a couple of things up to come back together in the next issue, because at the end of this issue it's pretty much all out brawl between all parties. Well, mostly all parties, with the exception of one who's going to come into play next issue. I've been enjoying this book. It's been fun. So if any fans of Godzilla and or the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers may want to check this out. In fact, we will have some more Power Rangers news in the news later on. Let's see. Next up, Defenders Beyond, #1. Let's see. Got way too many covers. I'll put this long. No, I'm not putting that one. Put that one. There we go. So this is the new miniseries by Al Ewing and Javier Rodriguez on the art, along with Lee Garbett, who does some recap art, and letters by BC's Joe Caramagna. So it took me this long, folks, to realize that there's been a set of tarot cards that's been in play for these last couple of Defenders miniseries. And I just remembered that I believe those are the same tarot cards from the Avengers Defenders miniseries from like last year. And I think I even asked, I was like, well, where this is going. And apparently that, as far as I know, was made to be in service for these next couple of Defenders miniseries, which pretty much teams of Defenders get chosen for these cosmic missions by way of tarot cards. And this particular issue is no exception to that. Now, that being said, we see all the members come into place here, which is a motley crew if you think about it. So if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover, but the team consists of Doctor Strange is dead, so he's not a part of it, but he's a part of the book in a part of a way. Part of the way because he goes one last spell, quote unquote, goes to the Blue Marvel. Then there's America Chavez. Them two have worked together in Ultimates before. Then we have a version of Loki that we see twice. Tana, who's Galactus' mom, and Tigra. That is the team. But at the end of this issue, someone else shows up. And at the corner of this cover, it says it's a mind-blowing reveal of who comes in at the end of this issue. It's not. It's called Defenders Beyond. If you've been around Marvel for any length of time, specifically say a good 2 decades or so, you got an idea of who it is, and that does not even have anything to do with that Spider-Man Beyond that we covered a few months ago. It's not that
Terry
Beyond.
McGinnis, right? It's not Terry McGinnis, right?
It is also not Terry McGinnis, because that is a whole different universe.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're
Carry
good, because I
on.
thought about that also. But yeah, so it has nothing to do with Spider-Man Beyond, and it definitely doesn't have anything to do with Terry McGinnis, even though that is a thing that's going on in a back book I'm reading. But yes, so who shows up at the end of this book? You can figure that out. That is cosmically empowered, and was a big threat back in the 80s. I will say that. So if you're up on your Marvel lore, you kind of know who that is. Now, if you're newer to the game, yeah, you probably would know, which, in that being case, you wouldn't know who that is anyway, so it's not going to be mind-blowing to you in that respect either, because you're going to be like, well, who is this person? I don't know. Like, maybe I just got into Marvel in the last 10 years or so. Like,
Right.
Who is this person in relation to me? Trust me, this person used to be a big deal and also slightly mischievous. Looking at you, Secret Wars 2. But, yeah, like I said, it wasn't that big a deal for someone of a vintage as we are, who
Right.
you can pretty much tell from the title who's going to show up. Let's just put it that way. That being said, it was an interesting read to try to put the team together. It is a weird, very loose reasoning to put this team together, but then again, so is the last couple, so that's not that big of a surprise there. But I'm gonna check it out regardless because it's Al Ewing, and he's usually good for a good story. Let's see. The last book I have is Star Wars number 25, and I'm sad to say this is the last book that I have because there's been some other stuff that I've been wanting to read that we didn't get to, and another one that was actually in the Star Wars corner, which I guess we'll get some news on that. Star Wars number 25, written by Charles Soule, all the way through. It says 4 stories from the 4 different eras. From 4 different eras. There is one era that it's not from, and that's the High Republic era, now that I think about it. But Charles Soule has written it all. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because this is his 100th script, Star Wars script, to be specific, that's been published. There's a letter in the beginning of the book from Charles Soule that says, like, yeah, this is my 100th script. He's written some other stuff that hasn't either seen the light of day and or for one reason or another hasn't been published either yet or at all. And the 4 stories that are here are stuff that didn't get released prior for one reason or the other, whether it didn't fit or, you know, it wasn't the right place for it or some reason of that. So these are 4 stories that he's written from the 4 eras that he's already written for. And 2 of them actually kind of complement each other, but I'll get into that in a second. Art by Rosana, Giuseppe Camacolo, Will Sliney, and Phil Noto on the different stories. Colors by Rochelle Rosenberg on 1, Ira Prianto and Guru EFX on 3 of them. And inks by Danielle Orlandini on 1, and letters all the way around by VC's Clayton Cowles. Like I said, 4 stories, 4 different eras. There's a prequel era. There's original trilogy. There's after, you know, and there's like basically 2 after, or 2 between and after the sequels, specifically between 8 and 9. Or one between 8 and 9, and the other one's after 9. Put it that way. So there are some pretty good short stories surrounded by different characters. The first one is Obi-Wan and Anakin. The second one is Palpatine and Vader, which those 2 complement each other in a very nice way. The third one is what was the third one? I forgot. Oh, the third one's Kylo Ren between 8 and 9 after he fought Luke, and the 4th one is Poe Dameron after the Battle of Exegol, which is after episode 9. So it's worth checking out this issue if you are up on all of that stuff right there. Some pretty good stuff. They're pretty short and they're pretty. I can't say there's. You'll get something out of something, but it doesn't necessarily build to anything overall. But just some good stories within the realms of those eras. And that, folks, is it for me. Kliqs of the week. Nani?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Kliqs of the week. So my recording is going to have that play twice.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's very funny.
That's all right. So we got one click from Dirt. Uh-oh, what was that? Oh, that was weird. His click is Death Rage #1. He says, I don't think I have a copy, a cover for that, but he had one in the thing. Think Deathlock meets Deadpool meets Bloodshot, which I'm sure some of you only know one of those people. Wisecracking assassin for good guys enhanced with nanites gets hacked and turns evil. And he sends us a link to that to that book, to a review of that book. He says surprisingly competent and entertaining. So yeah, if any of that he just said interests you, there you go. Death Rage #1 by, who is this by?
Writer Aaron Sparrow, artist Emiliano Urdinola, writer Murphy, cover artist Tyler Kirkham. So yeah, all I have to say is that's very 90s.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Very, very
And
90s.
the only name I recognize, I think, is the cover artist. So
Yeah, Tyler Kirkham.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's that. And do you have yours? We didn't get anything from Tim.
I've got a couple of books to consider this week.
Okay.
I did mention that Avengers #58 was a strong candidate, just because it was entertaining as all get out. I do give A.X.E. Judgment Day #1 a lot of credit for providing pretty much all the information you need. You don't necessarily need to have read any of the previous Eternals or X-Men stuff. It does obviously help to know who that Uranos character is, or Uranos character is, prior to coming in, understanding that he's, immensely powerful, maybe on a par with like MCU Thanos.
Kind of looks like
because
him also.
What's that?
Kind of looks like him also.
Right. What's funny is that comic book Thanos on his own is pretty powerful, right? So it's hard to gauge these things, power scaling wise. I also really appreciated that Maestro World War Hulk World War M book, because of how it kind of wrapped up that trilogy. But I think I'm actually going to go with like an unexpected choice this week, and I'm going to go with Avengers #58 because I enjoyed the samurai setting. It was really fun. I thought Garon's character art in this was really good, and some of the splash pages and the action scenes were pretty well rendered. So Avengers #58 for me.
Okay. As I go through a couple of covers that I picked up for this, that's cool. For myself, there's a couple that I've actually had some fun with myself. The aforementioned Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #4. That was a treat for me. Star Wars #25 also was like I said, good brief stories. Just they don't really going through this, but they do at least one or two of them kind of give light, no pun intended, on a particular thing that actually I forgot to mention, because we get an explanation of why. In a way, we get an explanation of why Obi-Wan believes that the lightsabers are elegant weapons. He doesn't necessarily say that in this, but you can kind of infer. I have inferred it, and therefore it is so. And also Black Adam #2. It was definitely kind of a treat because of that Malik character. Like, still trying to figure out, not necessarily figure out what's going on, to still figure out what they're trying to get to with this Black Adam book, but we still got 10 other issues to go with that. So I'm believing I'm actually going to go with
that Black Adam book is a 12 issue miniseries. Goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm.
That's old school.
I mean, we've gotten a lot of 12 issue, whether intentionally or not, but we've gotten a lot of 12 issue series in the last few years, which I think this is starting to become more, we've even said it before, become more commonplace now. But yeah, one that's out the gate says is 12 issue. Well, DC's been doing them a lot more. That's not fair, because yeah, DC's kind of been doing that a little more, especially with the Tom King stuff. Like, most of his stuff, I believe, has been 12 issues. So it's not outside the realm of possibilities. It's just that, I guess, in the stuff that we read, we don't see it that often. But that being said, this is kind of a toughie, actually, because Batman Superman was also all right. You know what? I'll just go ahead and give it to Black Adam #2. But definitely shout out to Star Wars #25. And like I said, congrats to Charles Soule for his 100th script being published in the universe.
I was about to say, good job on Priest. Good job by Priest to get you to appreciate that Black Adam book.
Yeah, actually, and not the first person I've heard that. It's like I've seen people online like, yeah, this might actually, because they saw a panel from it and it was like, this might actually get me to read a Black Adam book. So I mean, I'm always interested in Priest stuff, depending on what the character he's using. So this is, at the very least, I will come to the book for him. And in some small way, Black Adam, because of the fact that hey, the movie's coming out, even though I'm not gonna watch it. We're not set on watching the movie.
We're not in a rush. Yeah, we're not in a rush to watch it.
So that being said, there's interest on it, and like I said, and I think what I was inferring earlier is like DC doesn't necessarily do the DCification of their characters, thankfully. No. The DCUification of the characters, like Marvel's doing, but like every now and then there's some stuff that kind of creeps in. Like you might see a Batmobile that looks like the Batman's Charger or whatever the gun is. Every now and then, stuff like that'll kind of creep in, but nothing heavy like what Marvel does. Anyway, that is that, folks. Those are the Kliqs of the week. And you said you were going with, I'm sorry,
Avengers number 58.
58. I need to write that down before I forget. There we go. We're going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we get into cinematic news as we do every day about this time. There's going to be a good bit of... San Diego Comic-Con just started, so some of the news is going to be stuff that came out prior to, but we will definitely be getting a lot. I already have some stuff for next week. We will definitely be getting a lot more stuff after this weekend's shenanigans. That being said, Thor: Love and Thunder continues its reign atop the domestic weekend box office despite a 68% drop, according to this article. As reported by Variety, that 46 million, that Thor: Love and Thunder earned 46 million over the past weekend, I guess. Domestically, helped it bring its domestic total to a lot more money, and globally a lot more money. So yeah, so despite whatever drop it had, it's still doing good. There's not really that much out, so that's not that big of a surprise. Exactly. Next up.
Scrolling. Pardon me, folks, I'm scrolling.
Oh, this is
spoilers
for you.
Roy Kent! He's here! He's there! He's every effing where! Roy Kent! Roy Kent! Joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe can be a Herculean task. Oy.
Boom.
For Brett Goldstein, spoiler alert for Thor: Love and Thunder. We are a few weeks out from Thor: Love and Thunder. We are spoiling one of the post-credit scenes right here. If you are familiar with Ted Lasso, you're probably familiar with the actor and the character I'm referring to when I sing that chant from Ted Lasso. But let's see here. So apparently, Brett Goldstein needed help from Hannah Waddingham when it came to signing up for his cameo role in Thor: Love and Thunder, and Hannah Waddingham said, she went to Hannah Waddingham and he said, I wonder if I should take it, and she said to him, "Are you mental? Are you having a little bit of a moment?" He was like, "Why?" She says, "Are you seriously thinking you might not play this character for like 3 seconds?" So, and apparently, unbeknownst to Hannah Waddingham, um, otherwise known as Rebecca. I forget her last name in the show, but her name is Rebecca in the show. And Brett Goldstein had already accepted the role, and that's pretty much it.
So he's having a laugh at her expense. Some would say.
Exactly. He's here. He's there. He's every effing where. Roy Kent. Roy Kent.
She-Hulk director explains why
I was
fans...
about to say, I honestly hope that Roddy Cat will get around to watching Ted Lasso at some point through multiple means.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because wait, you said because there's another season on the way, right?
It might actually be the last season.
So
because I think from what I remember reading about what Jason Sudeikis, the character, the actor who co-created the show and the character of Ted Lasso, I think they initially planned it out to be like a trilogy, basically like a 3-season show.
Gotcha. Okay, so I might wait till then and then plunk down on this 6 months of Apple TV Plus that I've been sitting on.
All right.
So. But anyway, back to the news. She-Hulk director explains why fans are hating the show's CGI. No, so a couple of weeks ago, actually it would have been about a good 3 weeks ago, something like that. There was a first look teaser, whatever it was, for a trailer for the She-Hulk. Their choices of images to put together, by the way, are amazing. CBR, which I'll go into another thing. Anyway, so yeah, people that were all over the internet and they were talking about the CG, which did not look all that great, but also at the same time, we don't know if it was final. So, I think we hear this Chronicles is taking a stance of wait till it comes out to see if that's what continues to be the CG, how the CG looks, or if they've, if those were like some early works that were not final. So. But yeah, so this article is basically saying, hey, there was an interview with SFX magazine that talked to the director, Kat Corio, who addressed the negative fan reaction and went into the detail about the process of digitally bringing to life the She-Hulk's effects during the interview. She says, or they say rather, it really is taking design and asking, are we getting those facial expressions and those nuances of reaction? That is where all the time comes into play, just honing in. So that's kind of that. Like I said, that was the trailer. Don't know whether that was final or not, but if it is, hey, this is what we got, folks. We still got less than a month to for that to come out. So chill until that comes out. Next up.
She-Hulk star teases just how strong the MCU hero actually is. So in an interview with Empire Magazine, Tatiana Maslany discussed her character's exceptional strength, which has been teased in trailers for the show. Quote, she's not a trained fighter at all. She could just flick someone and they'd go flying. You flick too hard, damn it! This is one lawyer you don't want to find you guilty, Maslany said.
Yeah, well, true. I kind of want to try to, or at least for me, binge Orphan Black before the series. It's a month. There's 5 seasons, and British seasons are pretty short.
Short, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so it could be done.
Is it worth it?
It's a good show from what I've seen of it, and I've heard, and it's one of those shows that kind of like got a lot of praise when it was out, and plus, she plays like what 5 or 6 different characters, which may or may not play into how anything that goes on in the She-Hulk. So that's just an aside note. Because like I said, I had seen a couple of episodes of it, but I had not seen the whole series before this. So I've seen enough to know that she's pretty good at what she did in that series. So just curious curious. That's all. Just sometimes I do the stuff like that. Next up, though, Ms. Marvel stars struggled to film the MCU's most revealing scene. So this is a spoiler for the final episode of Ms. Marvel, and it is the scene. It is the scene where that is revealed.
Yeah, I'm Your Baby Tonight by Whitney Houston.
Yeah, So, Iman Vellani confessed in a Marvel interview that she and co-star Matt Lintz went through multiple takes to get that scene right. I won't spoil it here, but if you're watching the video, you'll probably be seeing what I'm seeing. So anyway, she couldn't keep a straight face hearing the phrase out loud, which, yeah, I guess that is definitely a reaction. It took a really long time to film that scene because anytime Matt would say the word, I start giggling because she's a big fan girl, so makes sense. I think we got it in one take. The one you see in the episode is one of two that we got where I was mildly serious. She says, and it was really, really, really difficult. So I think we have so many outtakes of me just breaking because I was so excited and giddy over this. End quote. She's adorable. Massive fan girl, as we've come to find out before and after this. So I don't know if you saw that tweet. She's talking about I think she was either on set or something, and Feige held up 616, and she was just thinking about it the whole night.
Yeah,
because of that whole thing they were, between them about.
Yeah, they had like a whole back and forth about the numbering.
Right.
From Doctor Strange.
Right. So that was pretty funny. Anyway, next up.
So Iman Vellani wants to see Ms. Marvel and Wolverine team up as they did in the comics. And in a recent Ask Me Anything Q&A on Reddit, Vellani revealed that she wants this. So that's cool.
Yeah. Like I said, not a big surprise. I believe that last thing also came from the AMA, so yeah. Marvel fans want to see the return of Inhumans after the Ms. Marvel finale.
Thank you.
I knew that would be your reaction, which is why I put this in here. And actually it's mine too, to be honest. So yeah, basically this article says like, hey, between the comic output in the last couple of years and the video games, Kamala has been a fixture. There's actually I saw a Twitter post that had her in her Ms. Marvel get up, but with Professor X's cerebral helmet and a bunch of mutants under her, as if she was the second coming or something. So that was kind of funny. But anyway, so yeah, but because of the fact that we don't seem to be getting the Inhumans and seem to be laying out another course going mutant-wise, yeah, that got people upset, especially after seeing Black Bolt get taken out so
disrespectfully.
Yes, there we go. That was the word I was looking for in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. According to Ms. Marvel co-creator Sana Amanat, it's like we've been talking about it for some time of the changes that they made to her origin. Here's a really important thing people do not know, that when we're talking about the character of Kamala back in 2012, 2013, when G. Willow Wilson and herself were ideating. I've not heard that word, but I get the meaning. We originally wanted to make her a mutant. That was the whole intention, to be able to do that. We have no one's word but hers to believe on that. I'm not wanting to believe that was actually the case, because I feel like if that's what they wanted to do, they would have done it. But we also know that this was the time where the whole Fox mutant thing was going on, so we don't know. This is hearsay for that. We just have to take her word for it. But that's that. Anyway, but the article goes on to talk about what the hubbub has been online about wanting humans back, including some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a couple of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. folks, and etc. Next up, which we'll get on to that in a little bit also.
Sorry, I was too busy looking at that Inhumans article.
Yeah. Peruse. It'll be in the show notes for folks who want to check it out at some point later. All
right, so Ms. Marvel co-directors Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi have an answer for whether or not Kamala Khan and her family were snapped by Thanos at the end of Infinity War. Quote, they'd assume that seeing how the family dynamic is with them, they have a feeling that none of them got snapped. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. I admit curiosity to this because, you know, I mean, this is well after the fact and they've kind of gone away from even dealing with that. So it was like, well, you know, was this person on our side? I'm actually will be very much curious as to when She-Hulk comes out, whether that even comes into play for reasons. I don't know. Like I said, we're so far away from the snap at this point, it doesn't really matter. But either way,
right. I mean, I was about to say early on in the Disney Plus show, it had to be
right because that's what they were dealing with the fallout of it.
Exactly. Now we're dealing with a different group of characters, and it does make sense that Ms. Marvel wasn't snapped because she would be 5 years younger.
Right.
You know, it's not, and you know, and you know, just for the sake of keeping Peter Parker as young as possible, you know, that's why they snapped him away.
Right, and I guess anyone in her periphery apparently were not that we know of. So. Because it wasn't brought up.
Like literally, Peter's like, you know, in the MCU, Peter's only like 2 years older than her.
Right. Yeah, that's anyway. Which reminds me of another picture that I saw earlier with the two of them together, but it was like, you know, classic Peter in the comic books. So, anyway, Ms. Marvel director teases much darker Batgirl movie because the two aforementioned directors, Adele L. and Bilal Fallah are doing the Batgirl movie. It says here, quote, the thing is that it's also an origin story, but obviously Batgirl is in Gotham City, so it's going to be much darker than Ms. Marvel. LRB told Slash Film after Wednesday's Ms. Marvel finale. And our main character is older. I mean, she's not a teenager. She already has a job. Talking about Leslie Grace's Barbara Gordon. So, I mean, you know, hey, of course it was going to be different for different reasons. So, obviously, they're not going to treat this character like they just did Ms. Marvel, because that'd be crazy. Next up.
All right. So, in the rumor mill, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans might not recognize Chloe Bennett's Quake when she debuts in a future MCU project. Reliable industry source blankety blank, Casey Walsh, recently responded to a tweet that stated Kevin Feige and company are treating Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as another universe. Daisy Johnson in 616 will have a new origin. However, aspects of her Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. story will be incorporated as a nod to all of the diehard fans. What's crazy is that they started out as one and they branched away. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what's weird.
Right.
You know, they started out in the mainstream MCU and then they just branched away. So I guess that was a branch timeline. So,
yeah, and it sounds like, well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It sounds like they've been treating that as a kind of a branch timeline since like season 5, I guess.
Right.
Or somewhere in 4. I'm not sure because I think I fell off. Not fell off. I think I stopped watching at the end of 4 because of I don't know where the show went. Actually, that's what it was. So I never did finish the series.
Mm-hmm.
But you could already tell by then they were kind of just like they had already pushed it away. So
they were off on their own, right? They were basically off on their own. They were not connected to the MCU at all.
Yep. Shout out to Albie Shore. So yeah. So if again, this is a rumor, so we don't know anything. I was like, I know there are people like who.
I mean, I don't know what the actual reference is, but I know who Albie Shore is.
Oh, okay. Off on Your Own. That was one of his songs.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that's obscure. That's a deep dive, man. Holy cow! I thought you were gonna call out whatchamacallit, Patti LaBelle. You know, my own.
Oh no, well I guess I could have, but no. Yeah. But like I said, this is rumor, and we don't know.
Yeah, with Michael McDonald, once again,
which is actually kind of funny because this is the second time that song has come up.
It has been a trying day, folks. I literally brought out Michael McDonald and Patti LaBelle.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes it be like that. You gotta, the things that come up in it just out of nowhere.
I'm sorry, folks. It's been a
That's
day.
good. And again, somebody's like, they're like, who? Youngsters, I tell you.
Boy, I'm
Oh.
fit too old for this shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, moving on.
But yeah, like I said, this is a rumor, so we don't even know if if Quake is even gonna be in the MCU large. But we're starting to see more rumors that's suggesting it so much, but we don't know anything outside of the fact that we got a couple of Netflix folks coming through. So anyway, next up. Is this me or you?
Yeah, too.
I Am Groot releases first footage and it includes a surprising Guardians of the Galaxy cameo. It's not really surprising. It's freaking Groot. So who else would be who would be coming up there? I think the surprise is who's voicing the character that shows up in this first episode. So it's a spoiler for the first episode, which I guess is out on Disney Plus, or this was shown. Actually, I don't know if it's out on Disney Plus or not, but this article is kind of suggesting that it is. Regardless, and I can't get to it from this tab, but that's right. Guess what, folks? Rocket Raccoon shows up and is voiced by Bradley Cooper.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there you go. Next up.
Alrighty, in Star Wars news, Andor star Diego Luna collaborated with the writers on the show to develop the character's backstory. That's good. Mm-hmm. So, it seems he had a more integral role this time around in the development of the character, and he revealed this in a new interview with Den of Geek. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I believe actually I almost pulled that one because it was a similar story, but I had pulled this one first, so that's why I didn't pull that one. But yeah, but that's cool. Hey, guess what, folks? Spider-Man: No Way Home is finally streaming. I mean, it was about time for it to be anyway, but it's not streaming anywhere that a lot of people are likely to get to it. It's going to be on Stars.
Oy.
So if you got Stars, great. But I mean, it's not going to be there for, I'm sure it's not going to be there for that long, and it'll probably end up on someplace else, Crackle or Hulu or something, more likely at some date. Probably soonish rather than later. I don't know. But yeah, right now it's on Stars. You can go check it out there. And it says here that, No Way Home happens to be the last Sony flick headed to Stars after a theatrical release. Beginning with the studio's 2022 releases, Netflix gets an exclusive year-and-a-half window to stream the movies. So that means across the Spider-Verse, Kraven the Hunter, why that is even happening, we still don't know. And the recently pushed back Madam Web movie will all hit Netflix after the movies, which again, another movie that why is this needed? But anyway, there is that.
Next up, speaking of the Madam Web movie, Sony has shifted the Spider-Man spin-off Madam Web movie to late 2023. That is October 2023. It's a shift of 3 months. So I'm with Roddy Cat on this. Why do we need this movie?
Right.
Just so that Sony can maintain the Spider-Man and related character license. Come on,
Pretty
just
much.
let it go, folks. Let it go. Like Elsa says, let it go.
Yes, let it come back to its original family. Come on. But yeah, the Predator prepares for the hunt in a new Prey poster. Now I know what you're thinking. Hey, the Predator is not necessarily comic book. Yes, it is, because there's a Predator comic book coming from Marvel.
I was about to say it was a Dark Horse comic book property for a long time.
Well, but there are people that don't know that. So
yeah,
and plus, like I said, there's the upcoming Marvel one also. So it relates. But I don't know how I feel about this. I like Predator enough, but I didn't watch those last couple, and this is supposed to be like a prequel to the first movie, I guess. I don't know how I feel about it. So, but apparently there's a news poster for the thing that is I think this is going to be on Hulu. Yep. I guess it's a movie, not a show. Yes. And it's coming out August 5th. So if you are interested in that franchise, hey, go for it. Let me know how it is. Or don't. Next up.
Henry Cavill is rumored to appear this week at Comic-Con to talk more DC Superman. Okay.
So
that's it. That's the story.
Yeah, that's it. We at this point, today is the first day of Comic-Con. So it hasn't happened that I've seen. If it's probably going to happen, it'll be like for tomorrow or Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow or Saturday.
That being Friday or Saturday. If you're catching this after the fact, so maybe next week we'll have more for you. It is rumored that he's may or may not going to be talking about him playing Superman again, and something that is coming up, but signs are pointing to none of this is actually true. So, like I said, rumors, folks. That's what they are. Next up. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves trailer has an Owl Bell, a Mimic, and Hugh Grant. Plus, so here's a funny story. So yes, there was a first look at this new Dungeons and Dragons movie. I believe it's Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Reggie John Page from Bridgerton, Hugh Grant, as aforementioned said, and I think there's a couple other people that is in this movie. So, you know, some names that is in this. The funny part about this is that depending on where you see the article from, which, by the way, there's I think this article and there's another article that points to the actual video of this. The funny part is that who or what the article writers address or put up front when about this thing. Like, there's an article that there's a variety of articles that's like, hey, Chris Pine and Hugh Grant, you know, or CBR's article about Michelle Rodriguez is ripped or built. I'm like, this is, but I went with this one because it was like, hey, Owlbell, Mimic, you know, D&D stuff. Hugh Grant just happens to be along for the ride. And there's more than one article that just kind of omits a couple of folks that are mentioned in weird ways. So I was like, okay, sure. We know where y'all are going with this. Now, obviously, some people are bigger names than others, but also, like, you know, sure. All right. That is the choice you made. But anyway, like I said, the trailer's in here if you want to check it out. It's a Dungeons and Dragons movie, folks. Probably, some would argue, a better looking one than the past ones we've gotten, but hey, that is for you to judge for yourself. Next up.
All right, next up. So the tentatively titled Mortal Kombat 2 is a go at New Line, as a director and writer have been lined up to bring the iconic fighting franchise to life once more. So the 2021 version of Mortal Kombat was a major hit for Warner Brothers. I still haven't watched it. And let's see. So as reported by Deadline, the director of the first film, Simon McQuoid, will be returning to helm Mortal Kombat 2 as a director and will be assisted by Moon Knight writer Jeremy Slater. Okay.
I'm going to suggest, and they're probably not going to do it, but and I know that the statute is up on this, but they should just go ahead and put it on HBO Max like they did the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one wasn't great. I mean, don't get me wrong, it had a couple of good parts to it. I mean, you know, if you're still interested, you should definitely still watch it. But there was tragic misuse of a couple of people and characters. Underuse specifically, actually, of a couple of characters. But nevertheless, like I said, you judge for yourself. And you knew they were setting up a second one, but whether they needed to or not, Everything Everywhere All at Once getting a theatrical re-release with 8 extra minutes. A24's highest grossing movie ever. The aforementioned title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is going wide again in cinemas on July 29th. The latest cut from Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, which took off like a rocket from his South by Southwest world premiere, which will include new introduction from the filmmakers and 8 minutes of outtakes. And then it goes into the setup of the movie, which I'm sure everybody and their mother outside of me has seen by now, which I had intended to watch before tonight, but I didn't get a chance to. Nevertheless, hey, it's getting back into the movie so more people can discover the magic. Next.
Good. I watched it. It was good.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I wouldn't have mind seeing it in theaters. But you know, there I'm being very selective about what I go to the theaters for.
Sure.
Michelle Yeoh, let's face it, would warrant it, but I just didn't. But I have it sitting right here, so I don't have to do that. And by the way, side note, a bunch of A24's movies are hitting HBO Max next month, so you can check out some of their other stuff. I don't think this one is. It'll probably be a while before this one comes to streaming services. Wait, I mean it's already out there, but to streaming services to buy, but
Right.
you know, anywhere of other note, I should say.
Gotcha.
Next up.
All right. Apple TV's upcoming Godzilla series set in Legendary's MonsterVerse adds the father-son acting duo of Kurt and Wyatt Russell. So according to the Hollywood Reporter, that is exactly what they reported. At this time, however, it's unclear if the two will actually be portraying a father and son on the show, as the roles are being kept under wraps. The Russells join co-stars Anna Sawai, Ren Watabe, Kiersey Clemens, Joe Tippett, and Elisa Lasowski. Okay.
So Ego and Bigger Ego are playing.
Oh no!
are in this Godzilla movie. Just saying. You know. Are you interested in this? I know you're a fan of Godzilla, but I know you're more of a classic fan.
I am a fan of Godzilla. But are we going to get Godzilla in this? That's the kicker.
Yeah, that is the thing. Or is it going to be like that? Is it going to be like that? That 80s cartoon where they just call him up every now and then?
Godzuki!
Yeah, exactly.
Where's Godzuki? Yeah, they just call him. You know, they call. You know, he shows up when something needs blasting, right?
Yep, up from the depths, 30 stories high.
Yeah, Godzilla. I remember. I don't know why. I think the Toho Insta account posts snippets from that Godzilla and Godzuki cartoon.
Oh,
so
that's
that's why I recognize the theme song.
Right. I remember that thing.
Vividly?
Vividly, yes, folks.
That's funny.
Craig of the Creek releases special anime opening, which I guess you can say we get into anime corner, but not quite. So, you know, hold that one for next thing.
All right.
So, I'm going to say this again. I'll say this as loudly as I possibly can. Craig of the Creek is a great show, and everyone should watch it. Most people should watch it. I'm not gonna say everyone should watch it because you know this is not that kind of thing. But a lot of people should be watching it. There are 4 seasons of HBO Max. Check it out. It is a fun, great show. But there is a special anime opening that the Cartoon Network has put out. I think that was from today. Now that I think about it, because I saw it earlier before I went to bed. Like I said, anime inspired, in which this cartoon is not. But well, there is a lot of anime inspirations in some of the stuff that go on in the cartoon. But this is the first anime opening that they have done. I have not watched this because I wanted to watch it with whatever episode it was being presented with. So, but from the image, as you can see here, I am looking forward to checking it out. If you're watching the video, you can see the still image of the clip. Next up, unless
so we are in anime related news, right?
we are.
I miss watching Attack on Titan every week. Exclusive news: Netflix's Yu Yu Hakusho live-action manga adaptation reveals its star. So we've gotten our first look at Yusuke. I have not watched or read the anime or manga of Yu Yu Hakusho. So, but it's on my list. I should probably get to it. So Netflix announced the adaptation last year, which will present a new version of the 1990 manga, in which a teenage boy, Yusuke, dies and begins a new afterlife as an underworld detective. Kitamura will play Yusuke, and you can see a first look at him in costume on the webpage as Roddycat scrolls past it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Also, Kurama has been cast for this live-action Yu Yu Hakusho. It says Kurama will be played by Jun Shison, and yeah, again, you can see the picture of this person, and looks like them in the garb. His hair is not red; it's purple, so they're already fucking up.
No, no.
Because Kurama's hair is red, so let's not fuck up. So already fucking up. Anyway, that's that.
Next up, new Spy X Family artwork has been released to honor the fans of the anime, which has now acquired over 1 million Twitter followers. That is, so good for them.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It is a good show. I enjoyed it. It was like the first half of the first season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We still got the next one to go later this fall. So, we'll talk about something else later. Actually, going on with anime we're going to get to, or we individually going to get to, I guess. Dragon Ball Super takes cue from Miss Marvel with new gas power. Now this is for. Oh wait. Actually, this should have been in the manga corner, I believe. Part. But nevertheless, yeah. Miss Marvel's classic powers. There's a Dragon Ball character that embiggens a fist, looks like. So there you go. And his name is Gas. Okay, sure, whatever. I am not up on the manga or actually Super in general. So. But I am going to. That's another thing I'm going to get to because I got to so I can get to the movie whenever it comes out next month or whenever it comes out next month. Anyway, next up.
All right, so this is just some news for Crunchyroll. The Prince of Tennis 2 Under-17 World Cup English dub reveals its cast and crew and its release date. So it's going to be starting on July 20th. So it's already started as of a day ago. And there's a lineup on in this article of the English dub cast.
Yeah, there you go. I know some people love them from sports anime or this particular one, but yeah. So anyway.
You gotta watch Haikyuu, folks.
Yes. One of these days I will get there. Jujutsu Kaisen's anime team shares season 2 goals, which is kind of sad because I think we're getting season 2 before we get fired for season 3. God damn it. Anyway, so there was a update ahead of season 2 from someone from Mappa Studio. Right. The update was shared with fans who were lucky enough to make the. Oh, this is from the panel, the Jujutsu Kaisen panel at Anime Expo. There was CEO of Mappa appeared on stage with Hiroshi Seko, the animal script writer, and some other people. And according to Asuka, the CEO says that the team is paying close attention to fans overseas as they work on season 2. The show is massive, both in Japan and nations all over the world, according to this article. And as anime becomes bigger globally, responses from fans internationally are more important than ever. Asuka says his team is honing in on that reviews, whatever that means. So. And the article goes on to state what they want season 2 to become, but not necessarily giving too much away. And the fact that they're focusing on Chainsaw Man, which is their next thing coming up. So next up, as an anime adaptation, not because.
Right. So we're transitioning into the manga news.
Yep.
I'll take this one. My Hero Academia cliffhanger hypes the Big Three's first actual team up, and this is the current manga. And luckily, when I saw this story, I was able to catch up on the most recent chapter that was released over on Shonen Jump. And basically, this is a teaser for the fact that the Big Three are finally teaming up. Again, after their, because they really haven't actually fought together in a long time in the manga story.
Yeah.
The Big Three are upperclassmen at UA.
Gotcha. Those who keep up with My Hero know what he's talking about. I am not one of those people.
Exactly. I'm carefully wording what I say.
That's fine, because by the time I get around to it, I won't remember. I can guarantee you that.
That's funny.
Plus, I don't think they've adapted this part into the anime yet. So,
No,
I'm
but
not
they're
sure.
not far.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm going to actually read the manga before I get to the anime. We'll see.
There's probably going to be like another 2 seasons of the anime left.
Right.
That's my guess.
Oh, I should put that in the I should go get that. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but there was a apparently this come from Gintama, which is another anime. There was an anime. I mean, there was an explanation on filler and anime arcs from this other anime called Gintama. That's pretty good that I saw.
Okay.
I will put it in the show notes for folks once I find it again. But it was pretty good. I did retweet it, but for those who follow me on Twitter, it's probably already seen it. If you're one of those -3 people. Now we are getting over into the comic book news.
Another transition?
Sure, why not?
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Iron Man is about to lose his armor in A.X.E. conflict. Sounds like he's about to, from what I read of this article, it says he has an interesting suit of armor that could kill us all. Can he survive? Can anyone? Who's to know? It's Tony Stark. Who cares? I mean, I'm sorry that didn't come out right. I guess so. I put this in here partially for the reasons like, are they going to MCU's Tony Stark? I mean, he's got an ongoing going on right now, like in MCU to the point of killing his character. This doesn't suggest that, but I feel like that is a way they would do in this event,
right?
And I kind of hope they don't, but this is the things we look out for now. Next up.
Thanks to our very own @TimDog98 for this article. Marvel is celebrating Halloween with a spooky tale featuring some of its most iconic supernatural heroes. Crypt of Shadows #1 is a special Halloween-themed one-shot releasing this upcoming October that pays homage to the original 1970s Crypt of Shadow anthology series. The collection of stories will showcase supernatural adventures starring Moon Knight, Laura Linney Wolverine, Elsa Bloodstone, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, and Bloodline, aka Blade's daughter, who recently debuted in the free Comic Book Day Avengers X-Men #1. Okay.
Yeah, which I still think they did something with the camera to change her from where they were going previously. But yeah, I guess sure. Peter David reunites with Joe Fixit. We didn't mention this at the outset of the Maestro thing, but this was also a thing that happened there. That was announced there. But Peter David, who wrote the Maestro series, who prolific writer of a lot of Marvel stuff, folks know back in the day, including his Hulk run, which included Joe Fixit. He's coming back for another Joe Fixit centric story, which I admit I don't think I was around because that was like 90s, right? The Joe Fixit stuff.
No, earlier. That was mid 80s.
I wasn't
when McFarlane was on a Hulk, yeah.
Huh. Oh, wait, was that around the 20th anniversary? 25th anniversary?
I think so.
Okay, because I do remember the cover with the banner and the Grey Hulk, but I don't think I was reading Hulk that much then.
Yeah,
Either way,
mid 80s, definitely mid 80s when Joe Fixit was big.
Okay, yes, I vaguely remember when this was. A lot's happened. Anyway, quote here, when I created Joe Fixit decades ago, it was merely as a means to shake up the standard formula, David explained. Typically, Bruce would have some sort of situation where he would be worried that the Hulk would inevitably show up and screw up things. The storyline with Joe flipped the formula on its head and set up the Hulk with this great situation in Vegas, and he was worried that Bruce would show up and screw things up. I had no idea that the character would have this much staying power because we've seen him playing prominently in Immortal Hulk most recently. And that's so much eventually be done with him in the pages of the aforementioned Immortal Hulk. I'm thrilled that Marvel has given me this opportunity to revisit an old friend. Peter David has been given the opportunity to revisit a couple of old friends. So Hulk specifically, but yes. So yeah, this is going to be on sale in 2023. You can see the cover if you're watching the video version. And that's pretty much all we got right now. We don't have any more specific date than that. Next up.
All right, so in spoilers for this week's Spider-Gwen-Gwenverse number 4, J. Jonah Jameson has taken on a pretty a significantly different role in this alternate universe, where Gwen is basically taking on the place of Rick Jones, and back in the time and place where Rick was switching places with Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. Who does J. Jonah Jameson play? Okay, so apparently he's transformed into a Mandroid warrior. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I saw the article title, I was like, they made him into the Sharker in this universe. So that's usually the way they would go with the article titles, but no, it was not.
Seriously.
Or
the Rhino. Like, he created so many of them.
Right.
You know, that'd be funny if J. Jonah Jameson was in the Rhino suit and he was stuck in there, for the rest of his life.
Yeah, these bitches of Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
The Star Wars reveals a surprising secret about Chewbacca and his rival Wookiee. So this is spoiler from this week's Han Solo and Chewbacca number 4. And actually, reading this article just reminded me of something. So Black Chrysanthemum, other known Wookiee in the Star Wars universe, they've recently more often taken the black out of his name, which is fine, which is great. I'm not complaining about that, because I just noticed when people have been calling him Chrysanthemum, because I was like, well, you can see he's black, so it doesn't necessarily need to. I don't know if that's the reason why, but I've noticed that in like Book of Boba Fett and in the comics recently, that they're just like, just cut it to Chrysanthemum. Either way, I
mean, we call him Chrysanthemum, so
Well, that is also true. Yeah. So apparently, Chrysanthemum comes into play in this miniseries and steals Han, or Han, if so you choose, and leaves Chewbacca behind with the man who claims to be Han's father. So it's going to be Chewie to the rescue, I guess. After this, I've been meaning to read this miniseries, but I haven't. So I had intended to catch up before now, but I didn't. Just to see what that was about. So, because obviously it's kind of like, hey, here's a tale from them from before, before the original trilogy, or well before the original trilogy, and probably after Solo. So, but we'll see. Next up.
Alrighty, so to celebrate an enormous milestone for Marvel, the 80th birthday, Marvel Unlimited is offering fans 30 free comics in honor of 30,000 starting points on the Marvel Unlimited app. So you get a range of books from Ultimate Spider-Man from 2000, X-Men number 1 from 1991, to modern hits like Thor: God of Thunder from 2012. So these are all number 1 issues, and there's 30 of them. I'm happy to say I own a lot of these, but obviously not all of them. I do not own Fantastic Four number 1, but a lot of these I own. Like, I own in physical form.
Right.
I'm happy to see that Black Bolt, the 2017 series from Saladin Ahmed, is on this.
It's a
Black
good
Bolt
series.
number 1.
So that's the other thing. A lot of these are more recent,
Right.
With a few exceptions. But obviously, Thor: God of Thunder was going to be on there because of the recent movie. Miss Marvel number 1. Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther number 1. Star Wars number 1. Avengers number 1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't see any surprises. Actually, well, maybe Runaways.
I was about to say, I don't know if I own. I think I own Runaways number 1 in the trade. Right. I don't think I own the actual physical issue. I'm actually looking up to see if I have Uncanny X-Men number 129 or if it is on my want list. That's it's like an early Dark Phoenix book. So I'm actually kind of curious to see if I own this book.
Okay, but a lot of this stuff is on here. One, because it's stuff they probably had already on here for reasons, I dare say. So, like Infinity Gauntlet #1, because
Yeah.
the whole in-game stuff. Vision #1, that's a good one. You should check that out.
Yeah. Which one? Well, I definitely do not own X-Men #129. That sucks. It is on my wish list.
Right. Oh, Captain America 2004 #1. That is the start of the Winter Soldier run.
Yeah, that's the Brubaker run. Yep.
So,
I definitely have that. It'd be nice if I had that signed by Brubaker. I have it signed by Epting.
Right.
So, but I do not have that signed by Brubaker. Now I'm scrolling through this to see what else I actually own. As Roddy Cat did say, a lot of this stuff is recent, so it's more likely. Yeah, I've got most of this. Just a couple of exceptions.
Right. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ultimate Spidey. Oh, including the Ultimate Spidey #1 where Miles comes in. Okay. That one I don't have, definitely.
Yep. Yeah, Planet Hulk, the first Planet Hulk issue, Hulk 19, the Hulk volume that was in 1999, #92.
Oh, I skipped that one. Amazing Spider-Man 2018. That's a interesting choice. That's the start of that Spencer run.
Is it?
Yeah. That's an interesting choice to put on here.
I didn't even see where that. Oh, I see it now. It's at the end. Yeah. I see it. Yeah, Spencer and Outley.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
But anyway, there's a lot of stuff in there.
You bring up that run. We're like, yeah, let's get out of here, guys.
Yeah. I'm like, that's an interesting choice to put on here for whatever odd reason. But sure, okay. Doctor Strange #1 for anyway. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff on there. You can check that out at your leisure. But it's some good stuff, regardless. Next up, you know what? You take this one.
I was about to say, ooh. I did not see this story.
I was going to ask you about this when I saw this like yesterday. So I wasn't sure whether you had it. I was like, no, if he hadn't seen it, I'll keep it as a surprise.
Ooh, Hasbro's Marvel Legends team has just posted a video for the upcoming HasLab Galactus. This new video is a surprise unboxing showing off all the new Marvel Legends figures and features of HasLab Galactus. You can check out screen caps on this webpage. And you can click on the video. You can find the video. Where can you find the video? Just on Hasbro Pulse.
It's what, I will put it in the show notes. I thought it was in here, but it's on YouTube, and yeah, it's probably on Hasbro Pulse. But you would think they would have linked to it here.
Right. I was about to say our favorite rapper / Marvel Legends collector Pharaoh Monch posted a screen cap of one of these. I think of the image with Galactus holding up Silver Surfer and Nova.
Right.
I saw it on his Insta, so I'm not completely surprised by this, but I'm very happy to see that. That's a crazy unboxing. Oh my goodness!
I watched part of it. It's like 21 minutes actually. Just like
man. Oh my god! Look at all those. Oh my god! All those pieces. Jeez.
There's also a link in the first thread posted in here, but yeah, you can go into YouTube or wherever to find the unboxing on Hasbro Pulse.
Oh god, that's amazing! All right.
I knew you would get a kick out of that one as well.
I mean, I honestly don't regret not getting it because I'm like, wait, I've kind of hit the wall when it comes to my Marvel Legends collecting.
Right.
And this definitely would have been it. In terms of like, the final piece. And I'm like, where would I even display it? That thing is gigantic.
I admit, I tried to go
sitting on my bookshelf.
Right. I tried to goad Agent 70 into kind of nudge him into getting it because I was like, you could do so many things. You got FF, you got Silver Surfer. Come on, you could. There's some dioramas you could put on here, man. You could do this.
That thing is it's gigantic.
It's huge.
That figure is gigantic. 3.5 feet tall. That's like if I put him on the top of my bookshelf, it'd be scraping the ceiling.
Imagine you.
I have a tall bookshelf, but still,
Right. Put that up against Unicron.
Oh my gosh, that Unicron is gigantic too.
Yup.
Just diameter wise, but this is like just like a chunky figure. My goodness. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So shout out to those who bought them. Now we get into the Comic-Con stuff. So Marvel San Diego Comic-Con 2022 exclusives from the unofficial blog. This is the Marvel stuff specifically, like I just said. You can go through this article. There's a bunch of shirts, some jerseys, pins, that kind of stuff. A map of the role-playing game, which I think should be in that pre-test stuff. But yeah, and some variant covers, and of course a listing of the panels from Marvel for the whole weekend is in this article.
Dang, t-shirts have gotten expensive, huh?
Yeah, they have. Like even well, I mean, because novelty t-shirts are a big thing now, or have gotten bigger over time. Yeah, they've only gone up in price.
I was about to say, I don't remember paying that much for a Marvel T-shirt at New York Comic Con, but maybe I'm just misremembering or not remembering. I'm just ignoring the memory of having to shell out that much money.
Right. So some stuff I think we've kind of seen before, but I don't know if there's anything that stands out to that I would actually want.
Mm-hmm.
There's that Avengers Con shirt, which we already knew was out. So there's some stuff from that and whatnot. Ooh, the Hawkeye shirt is actually not terrible. But anyway. That's that. Next up, Legion M, the world's first fan-owned entertainment company, will be celebrating Stan Lee at San Diego Comic-Con with limited edition merch. Starting yesterday, Wednesday, July 20th, Legion M is releasing one surprise Stan Lee per day during San Diego Comic-Con this year. You can find them in booth 3917, but if you can't make it to San Diego Comic-Con, it will be available in their online store as well. Okay. Yeah. Apparently, this wasn't updated with what they released, but hey, you can go to.
Yeah, I was about to say that's what I was scanning the article. I'm like, what was it?
Yeah, they didn't. This article didn't update it, but this is also from the unofficial blog, so there's another site that you can go to for that stuff. Chadwick Boseman receives special new Black Panther Funko, and yes, Radicat has pre-ordered them all. Now that the Thornton Loves is in theaters, blah 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 blah. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is coming up in November. Blah 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 blah. Chadwick Boseman, Nakia, Shuri, and Ramonda, all get new Funkos. And if you're watching the video version, you can see them all. They're Target exclusives. The pre-orders are already up. The Patrick Boseman one, if you are not watching the video version, is in the throne. Is the Chadwick Boseman in the throne from Black Panther?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that one's going to be highly sought after, which is why I went ahead and got my pre-order in the moment I saw this article. But yeah, I ordered all of them, and like I said, Target exclusive. I think they're like $12 a piece, with the exception of that T'Challa Chadwick Boseman one, which is like, I believe it's like $22.99 or something like that. It was in the 20s for that one, which they knew what they were doing. So,
of course. All I can do is nod my head in disapproval.
What, of the whole Funko craze, or the raising price? Yeah, there is that. Yeah,
the pricing.
Yep. All right. And there's some other stuff like T-shirts and other stuff with the Funko stuff, but that's the main thing. Next up.
Yeah, next up. Well, this article is a roundup of the Walmart San Diego Comic-Con Collector Con 2022 exclusives. So this started today with some product drops and continues tomorrow. This is the 21st and 22nd of July. And, you can get a bunch of this stuff. There's Marvel Legends, there's Funko Pops, there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you're into these exclusives, if you're really dying, you can get them online, or you can ask someone who's at Comic-Con to try to get it for you.
Well, this is Comic-Con adjacent, which means this is mostly online. I was going to ask our mutual friend.
Right. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It is a collector con for Walmart. Right. So it's just an online event. I apologize.
No, you're fine. But I mean, but going on the line, I was actually going, if I wasn't going to get something that I actually did pre-order off, I was going to ask them to see if they were going to be there in some fashion. Because there is in this article, there's a Transformers Top Gun mashup, and y'all know how Radicat loves his Transformers mashups, Transformers in general. That went up on pre-order this morning, and yes, that was also gotten.
Roddy Cat is funny.
Oh, it's
Wait. I'm looking for the link. I'm like, what is the where's the Top Gun Transformers? Transformers. Top Gun mashup. All right, I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
So it's a Maverick action figure.
It's basically the yes.
Oh, it's an F/A-18. I see.
It's an F/A-18 that transforms.
Oh no, it's not an F/A-18. It's an F-14.
Excuse me. Oh yeah,
it's an F-14. I just have to look at it carefully. Yeah, it's a 14.
Yeah.
And it comes with the Kawasaki motorcycle. That's so funny.
And I believe it comes with a volleyball.
Does it really?
Yes. As a matter of fact, in the picture I'm showing up right now, there's volleyball. I don't know if that's in there or they just happen to have that, but it looks like it might be in the package. And it's battle worn, so you know.
That's hysterical.
Look forward to that being shown off at a future when that happens to come to me.
Right, and here was Roddy Cat making fun of me when the original, about 2 years ago now, the original Top Gun trailer came out for the new version, and that initial like the bong, I was like, oh man, all I needed to hear was that, and I was hyped. That's all I needed to hear. Yeah. And thankfully the movie was pretty decent. You know, it's nothing to write home about. It was pretty good.
Apparently still doing good in the box office though also. But yeah, it's $44.99, Walmart exclusive. And at the time, the link wasn't up, but I waited around this morning so I could catch it.
The things we do for what we want, right?
Indeed. But yeah, but going back to the original article, yeah, there's some other stuff on here that I didn't really look through because I after I got my pre-order, I was like, I'm going to pay it. I don't care about this other stuff. If it's something worth of note, I'll check it out later. But there's some stuff. There's some Star Wars Black Series stuff and some couple of Marvel Legends, some Funko stuff, you know, exclusive. So anyway, next up.
All right. So this article has a list of the coolest exclusive toys and collectibles at San Diego Comic-Con 2022. So, you know, there's a slideshow here. Not going to go through all of it, but you can click through this through our show notes. So, you know, hopefully you'll find something that you might want to try to get.
Yeah, that Dr. Mindbender didn't look bad. There's a G.I. Joe classified Dr. Mindbender that didn't look terrible. So, but there's some other stuff.
You know. Yeah, I mean, you know, like the Mattel, the Hot Wheels Ghost Rider is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I was wondering if you saw that.
Yeah, that little itty bitty Ghost Rider. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, like it's, you know, that's something that like I'll check to see if I can get that at some point. But you know, like a little itty bitty Ghost Rider just kind of like put up on your shelf. You know, I put away my Marvel Legends Ghost Rider that was on my bookshelf. You know, it takes up a lot of space. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, I think that's the original form of the bat because it wasn't the bats. The Battle Action Troopers blue before they were black, or was that later? I don't.
That's the animated, I think.
Right.
I think the animated. I think they were blue.
I think they ended up turning them black for the animated also though. I think originally they were.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But either way, there's that. So you know some stuff in there. Last but not least, from surrounding San Diego, Hasbro will let you turn yourself into an action figure for $60. As part of their selfie series of action figures at Comic-Con, thanks to a 3D printing technology developer and manufacturers, Formlabs. Like I said, you can choose from a select number of attendees will be able to have their likeness scanned and placed onto a fully posable, licensed, and highly detailed Power Rangers, Ghostbuster, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, or Marvel figure. It says for anybody to not be able to make it to SDCC, note that Hasbro Selfie Series is currently limited to collectors in the United States, and figures won't ship until sometime in the fall. But it sounds like, I guess they're gonna do this in some number outside of that, but it sounds like this is for people who are at the show. So maybe our friend Matt Wayne 97 will get him a Ghostbusters figure.
Maybe.
Or the Stingray figure he's always wanted, but with his head on it. We shall see. Next up, though.
All right, so Christina Ricci is DC's next Harley Quinn, and Justin Hartley from This Is Us is Batman in a new podcast. Okay, Billy Magnuson plays the Joker. So this is a scripted podcast titled Harley Quinn and the Joker Sound Mind, and it's just begun production. Okay.
It's always funny to hear Justin
Hartley.
Yeah, Justin Hartley as just This Is Us, because
Because he's formerly from the
Smallville.
W-verse.
Right, from Smallville, and actually from freaking Santa Barbara, a doggone soap opera before that.
Well, I was about to say that part I'm not familiar with, but I definitely remember. I never watched Smallville like that, but I remember seeing, like, this shows you how far back Smallville goes, folks. I remember seeing, I think, like the cover of a TV guide, and I was like, "Oh snap! They're bringing together some members of the Justice League on Smallville, huh?"
Yeah, that was late in Smallville, because I think I had dropped off of that joint well before then.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about the cover of TV Guide, folks.
Right. I know. Yeah, TV guys being a thing. Granted, they're still around, but not in the same form as we used to.
Not like that.
Them. Yeah. So.
I remember asking my parents to get a copy of TV Guide. I'd be rooting through it. I'd be like, Avengers, what is this? And then being sorely disappointed.
Oh shoot! I remember before I would go do your own further, going through it post fall Saturday mornings when they would have the lineup of the Saturday morning shows.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it was like, okay, when is the show gonna, the preview show for the Saturday morning cartoons gonna show up? Just throwing through there for that, any information on what was coming up on Saturday mornings.
Right. I'd just be looking for whether or not they're, like what Kung Fu or what Godzilla movies would be on Saturdays. So, but anyway.
TV Guide, used to love you.
Oh, God, man. I used to beg, I was like, it was like just a throwaway magazine. It was only good for a week or two. And, it was just something that, like, you had to, like if you didn't have money on your own, you had to beg for it.
Yeah,
unless your parents were like big TV watchers and they wanted themselves,
or knew someone with a subscription and be like, "Hey, let me get that while you when you use it when you're not So, but yeah, those were the days. Anywho, now we got the TV Guide on the TV. It only goes up to 2 weeks, but still, which I think TV Guide only.
God,
anyway.
my head hurts.
Yeah, no.
Oh, it's been a trying day, folks.
But get too old for this shit.
I'm dying!
It's been a trying day.
Indeed. DC reveals new clues about the Flash's Mad Max version, and that's from this week's, technically last or a couple of weeks ago's 783, but this week's 784 from the Flash, which is a Dark Crisis tie-in, and apparently this goes into the next story, which is. I'll go ahead and do this.
You want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead and do it. Why not?
All right. Spoilers. Oh, you're gonna do it?
Yeah. Spoiler alerts, like I just said. We said. The Flash family's latest mission quietly confirms the true threat of Dark Crisis. I was about to say Dark Crisis because of Pariah, but go back and watch Crisis on Infinite Earths from a couple of years ago that we did, folks. It's we had much fun at the expense of a character who is now back.
I know a lot of people love Crisis. Shout out to Marv Wolfman and of course the late great inimitable George Perez.
Absolutely.
But that Pariah character just like kind of always took me out of the story.
Yeah, and I believe
obviously I'm reading it with a different eye than I would have back then.
That's what I was about to say, because I think, unlike you, I don't think I've read some of those Crises back in the day, but I wasn't that big of a DC head anyway, and I don't think I read Crisis on Infinite Earths originally at the time until like later. So coming back to it in 2020 eyes with 2020 eyes was an amazing thing, folks. Let me tell you.
And I was coming to it mostly fresh, only being familiar with some of the concepts. And I was like, what is this Pariah character, and why is he important, and why is he so annoying?
And currently, why is he back?
Right, exactly.
But anyway, so Flash 784, which like I said, came out this week. Apparently, Dark Crisis is still going, and the Flash family is multiversal hopping, I guess, looking for Barry Allen, or I guess, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with what the hell is going on in this thing, but they come across what the the actual big threat is, whatever that might be. So if you're up on Dark Crisis, which I don't know if anyone on the is reading, because I haven't heard anyone say anything about it of our panel. So that's interesting.
I don't know. I want to say Dirt mentioned that he would try to keep up with it, just out of I don't know, force of habit or despite the fact that every previous crisis or crises, all the previous crises since the first one have been disappointing to him. Right. So
yeah, he's kind of like me with like a contest of champion. If you hear tell one of them, you gotta find out what's going on in that joint.
Right.
So anyway, so that's that, and I don't know, maybe one of us will catch up or we'll get some more on that at some point. Doesn't seem to be a non-starter, regardless of what it is. Next up, though.
Dark Crisis Young Justice #2 by writer Megan Fitzmartin and artist Laura Braga introduces a different variant of one of the team's main members. Oh, goodness. So introduced a different kind of Wonder Girl to the team, and that's the story.
Yeah, pretty much. Son of Kal-El writer promises Superman reunion this fall. So, father and son reunite in Superman Son of Kal-El, according to Tom Taylor. So he says announced on Twitter that Clark Kent's Kal-El will return to the title in October 2022's Son of Kal-El #16, with issues cover by Travis Moore, colorist Tamara Bonvillain, depicting Clark and the Sun, John flying through the city in celebration. Clark has been, even though we have seen Clark in and around the universe, he's been apparently fighting Mongol in Action Comics this whole time. Mm-hmm. Leaving John as the main Superman, and I know people have had issues with that because of their stupidity. Mainly. But I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, that's my understanding is that Jonathan is on Earth.
Right. So yeah, but Clark will be back in October. So
you knew he would be eventually.
Exactly. Plus that whole thing with the Justice League, which we don't know what the time frame is, that them being quote unquote dead because of Dark Crisis or whatever. Because who knows what the hell, man. Anyway, next up, DC. Speaking of Superman, Christopher Reeve's Man of Steel is returning to comics in DC's Superman 78 sequel. So yeah, I guess that's Superman 78 thing must have done good for them. It was not a bad story. So if you folks didn't know, it was a story set in the world of the first Superman movie, aka Superman 78, with Christopher Reeve, and from what I remember from that story, it was Brainiac centric actually, which wasn't a thing from the original Superman movie, but like I said, it was a story that was set in the world and adding some DC touches, some comic book DC touches to it. Like I said, it's not a bad series, but now they're doing a volume 2 of it, and apparently this was a stealth announcement from the hardcover of the first volume. So interesting. Next up,
Alan Grant. I get the sad, you actually took 2 back-to-back, so I got the sad story. Alan Grant, Batman and Judge Dredd writer, has passed away at the age of 73. The Scottish comics writer, best known for his work on 2000 AD and Batman, has passed away. His wife Susan announced his passing on Facebook. He began his work in the comic industry in 1967 when he became an editor for DC Thomson. So this is all British stuff. Once he got to the U.S., Batman would take up most of his attention, but even then, Judge Dredd, the character that he worked on throughout the 70s, would creep back in, with Grant penning the Batman Judge Dredd crossover comics that were published by DC in the 1990s. I remember that. During his time on the Batman titles in the 80s and 90s, Alan Grant co-created Anarchy, Victor Zsasz, and the Ventriloquist. Okay. Oh, and another Grant co-creation, Ratcatcher, played a role in the Suicide Squad film.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's probably the one. Well, I mean, a couple of those names I knew, but I didn't know too much about that. okay. So, condolences to his family.
Yes.
Boop. Big Red's in the mood for romance with October's Hellboy in Love. So the creative team of the Hellboy Bones and Giants, that would be Mike Mignola, Christopher Golden, and Matt Smith, return with Hellboy in Love, a 5-issue limited series starting in October 12th to be specific, of 2022. Joining the team will be Chris O'Halloran, who I know from the Time Before Time book and on colors, and Clem Robbins on letters. The series will shine a spotlight on the mentioned romance between Hellboy and Dr. Anastasia Bransfield, who was introduced as Big Red's ex-girlfriend in Golden's 1997 novel Hellboy: The Lost Army. And it goes on from there, talking about things. Next up.
So from in solicitation news from coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, Sweetie Candy Vigilante from Suzanne Cañero and John Cañero is getting the comic book treatment at Dynamite Entertainment. So, you'll see this comic coming out. Sweetie Candy Vigilante #1 is scheduled to arrive in October of 2022. Okay.
Yeah, think Harley Quinn-esque, and I think this article even says as much, according to the description from Dynamite. So yeah, go figure on that one. Evanescence is giving away concert tickets to promote their comic debut.
Wow.
So you can wake them up inside with anyway. Rock band Evanescence and Opus Comics are giving fans an opportunity to score complimentary tickets to see Evanescence and Korn this summer ahead of the band's first official comic. This is from CBR. Apparently, let's see. This is Evanescence's Echoes from the Void #1 comic, which arrives in August. To qualify for the tickets, fans must pre-order said book at their local comic book shop or retailer before July 25th, which is only a couple of days from this recording. So good luck with that if you're an Evanescence fan and are interested in this. They're really trying to take advantage of FOC, huh?
Yeah.
So, which, hey, I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Hey,
So-
man, all I can think of is I'm so tired of being here.
The only song I know from Evanescence is the one I mentioned. So,
Right, this is the second song I think that everyone knows from Evanescence. I think that was the first line.
Gotcha. So you have already got me on that one.
We've
Anyway,
exhausted our Evanescence knowledge.
yes, pretty much. Winning retailers will also
Amy,
receive.
I was about to say, but the lead singer Amy Lee can really sing.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that much has been made apparent. Let's see. I think she shows up in some video game recently called which is metal inspired, of course. So I think she does some vocals on songs on that thing. So hey, if there you go. I think that's her. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, winning retailers will also receive additional prizes such as comics pins and art pins. Then this goes on about the tour with them and Korn. And it says here that Echoes from the Void is a new fantasy anthology series based on Evanescence's songs. The first issue is written by Carrie Lee South and features art by Kelly McKiernan. And then it goes into the synopsis from there. So if any of that sounds good to you, go for it. If anything, it's probably going to be a collector's item for however long it lasts. For those who like Evanescence. That's actually it for the news, but I wanted to bring up this last bit that is in the variant cover.
I just opened this. For
You want to do it?
Avengers number 58.
Go for it. Do it.
Sure. Oh my goodness. So
This is a pull.
yeah, no, you got to be of a certain vintage to get this one. Bo Jackson is joining Earth's Mightiest Heroes on a limited edition variant cover for this week's Avengers number 58. Hustle announced Jackson, a professional athlete who was named an all-star in both baseball and football in the 90s and the late 80s, will fight alongside the Avengers in an exclusive Avengers number 58 variant cover. The variant is available to purchase at thehall.com as a limited edition of 3000. It features artwork created by Todd Knock. So, yeah, this is a callback. Listen, I had the Bo Jackson cross trainers, the ones that had the X on them. It was like kind of I'm thinking of a different pair of sneakers. But I had a pair of the Bo Jackson cross trainers that had the number 34 on the back in black and gray, the Raiders colors. I had that in high school. I love those sneakers. Those are some awesome sneakers.
Do you remember Sports Stars? Pro Stars, excuse me.
Pro Stars, the cartoon or the comic?
Yeah, the cartoon.
I kind of remember.
I think they did make it into a comic too, also, didn't it? It's the same. It's basically the same premise. It's Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and Bo Jackson, or all together as superheroes. Like, this is how far back this goes. Like, I don't know how many people would even know Bo Jackson, but apparently Bo knows Avengers now. Apparently. I remember Pro Stars cartoon because I remember, again, like I said, I watched a lot of cartoons and I'm old because it was it was an 80s cartoon and stuff like that was big.
Right. Exactly. And as a sports ball person, as Roddy Cat would so put it aptly, I obviously was very familiar with Bo Jackson growing up. And, and obviously I was a fan of his shoe. And of course I saw his, the commercial where, with Bo Diddley and all the other sports stars who said, Bo knows hockey, Bo knows basketball. I think when it went to hockey, Wayne Gretzky said, no. But,
sometimes there was a Bo doesn't know X, Y, X thing.
Right. So Bono's running. Oh, it was great times, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so I saw this and I'm like, this was a weird pull for a variant cover. Like, who would even know this outside of, unless you're of a certain vintage like us?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I was about to say,
but it's also an exclusive, limited to 3,000. So they're counting on the fact that these people of our vintage are going to have a little extra cash laying around to pay for something that's exclusive like that with the of a certain release number. So
is this no, this isn't. I thought this was a Heroes Initiative thing, but it doesn't appear to be.
No, it's just a variant. It's just for profit.
Right. I did see one that was, and I forgot to put that in the lineup, but it was a pretty cool variant. But anyway, that, folks, is the end of the news, and that is the end of the show. Let's hit it up one more ad read.
Our last ad read of the night is for Funko Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as their custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, folks. That's it for this here show. We'll be back next week with more San Diego Comic-Con fallout. I mean, goodness.
No.
Because believe me, folks, I already have a bunch of stuff lined up already in a bunch of tabs. So you will be subjected to it. Hopefully there's some really good stuff. And hopefully, like I said, by that time, we'll see some really choice announcements, let's say, coming out of the show. Whether that Henry Cavill thing shows up to be any truth to it, we don't know. But we'll find out. That being said, I have been Roddycat. You can find me at Roddycat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. 18_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_dirt on Twitter. Pop Culture Net on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com and all his umbrella sites therein. Tim, DOGG98, the Osiris of this ish. You can also find him on the CB Chron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, which we should probably try to get a hold of. The Kliq Nation on Twitter. That's TheKliqNation, all one word, at thekliqnation.com. And also, of course, most regularly, you can find him over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find this here podcast on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You're going to find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Of course, you know, if you go to Spotify or any other of those places, give us 5 stars like Agent Sherman was.
Click like and subscribe. That's what we need. We need likes and subscribes and good reviews. 5 stars.
Yes. None of that. 5 stars. I hate this program. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, do the 5 stars. Just don't do the other thing. You know, if you know. Just saying. All right, folks. Like I said, we will be back next week with more shenanigans. And I don't know what's coming out of this thing. But this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. 1.
Wakanda forever!